You have potential. You just don't let yourself use it. You say you want to change. You say you want discipline, peace, success. And yet, when the moment comes to act, something inside you pulls back. You open the message, then close it. You prepare to start, then suddenly feel tired. You get close to someone, then lose interest. You make progress, then create a problem where none existed. It looks random. It feels emotional. You call it bad timing, low motivation, stress. It is none of those. There is a pattern in your life, a quiet repetition, an invisible interruption that appears every time growth demands something from you. You hesitate when action would move you forward. You doubt when clarity was already enough. You withdraw when commitment begins to feel real. And the most dangerous part is this. You do not experience it as sabotage. You experience it as logic. It feels reasonable to wait until you feel ready. It feels intelligent to analyze one more time. It feels safe to delay until conditions improve. But look carefully. How many opportunities have passed while you were preparing? How many relationships faded while you were protecting yourself? How much potential dissolved under the disguise of caution? This is not about weakness. It is not about laziness. It is something far more subtle. You are protecting yourself from something. And in doing so, you are quietly standing in your own way. The pattern is not outside you. It is within you. And once you see it clearly, you will not be able to unsee it. At some point in your life, but without realizing it, you made a silent agreement. If I do not fully commit, I cannot fully fail. If I keep one foot out, I can always retreat. If I never give everything, I never have to face the truth of my limits. This contract was not made in confidence. It was made in fear. Maybe you tried once and it hurt. Maybe you trusted once and were disappointed. Maybe you believed in yourself and the result did not match your expectation. The mind learned something that day. It learned that effort can lead to pain. So it adapted. Now, instead of stopping you directly, it whispers caution. It tells you to wait. It convinces you to prepare more. It disguises avoidance as intelligence. You think you are being careful. In reality, you are being protective. Protection from rejection. Protection from humiliation. Protection from discovering that you are not as capable as you hoped. But there is another truth hidden beneath this contract. By refusing to fully try, you never allow reality to answer you honestly. You live suspended between potential and proof. You remain safe but unfinished, and slowly this safety becomes a prison. You do not sabotage because you hate progress. You sabotage because progress threatens the identity you built to survive. The question is not whether you want success. The question is whether you are willing to risk certainty. Because the moment you break this contract, there is no more excuse, only responsibility. And that is where the real fear begins. Look deeper, and you will see something even more precise. You do not hesitate because you lack ability. You hesitate because you are trying to control what was never yours. You want to control the outcome before you act. You want certainty before commitment. You want guarantees before effort. You want to know how it ends before you begin. So you wait. You tell yourself it is strategy. You call it planning. You label it wisdom. But what you are really doing is refusing to move unless the result feels safe. And life does not work that way. There are only a few things that truly belong to you. Your effort, your judgment, your intention, your response. That is the territory you command. The outcome does not belong to you. Other people's opinions do not belong to you. Timing does not belong to you. Fate does not belong to you. Yet most of your anxiety comes from trying to manage those external forces. When you cannot control them, you feel unstable. When you feel unstable, you delay action. When you delay action, you call it self-doubt. But it is not doubt. It is misdirected control. You are attempting to secure the future instead of strengthening your character. And here's the shift that changes everything. If your responsibility is effort, then action is always available. If your responsibility is character, then growth is always possible. If your responsibility is judgment, then peace is always within reach. The moment you separate what is yours from what is not, hesitation loses its power. You stop negotiating with uncertainty. You start moving within your domain, and when that happens, sabotage has nowhere to hide. Your emotions are not your enemies. They are signals. But somewhere along the way, you allowed them to become commanders. Anxiety predicts disasters that have not happened. Fear magnifies risks that may never exist. Shame replays memories as if they define you. Comfort persuades you that growth can wait. When these voices speak, they feel urgent. They feel convincing. They feel real. So you obey. You delay because anxiety says it is not the right moment. You stay silent because fear says exposure is dangerous. You quit because discomfort feels like a warning sign. But discomfort is not always danger. Often it is expansion. The problem is not that you feel. The problem is that you treat every feeling as truth. Reason is quieter. It does not scream. It observes. It separates fact from interpretation. It asks a simple question: what is actually happening right now? Right now, there is a task. Right now, there is an opportunity. Right now, there is a decision. The rest is projection. When reason governs, you still feel fear, but you act anyway. You still feel doubt, but you finish anyway. You still feel uncertainty, but you move anyway. This is not emotional suppression. It is emotional discipline. And once you understand that feelings are weather, not identity, something shifts, storms pass, decisions remain. The one who governs your mind determines the direction of your life. The question is simple: who is in charge when it matters most? There is something even deeper beneath your hesitation. You are not only afraid of failing, you are afraid of becoming someone unfamiliar. For years, you have carried a certain story about yourself. The one who struggles. The one who almost makes it. The one who could succeed if circumstances were different. That story has protected you. It has explained your disappointments. It has softened your responsibility. If you truly change, that story dies. If you become disciplined, you can no longer blame inconsistency. If you become courageous, you can no longer hide behind fear. If you succeed, you can no longer say you were never given a chance. Growth removes excuses, and excuses, even painful ones, are comfortable. You know how to be the version of yourself that hesitates. You know how to navigate disappointment. You know how to survive chaos. It is familiar territory. But stability feels strange. Confidence feels exposed. Responsibility feels heavy. So the mind retreats to what it knows. It creates a distraction. It invents a delay. It manufactures doubt. Not because you are incapable, but because you are attached. Attached to the identity that kept you safe. To move forward, you must allow that identity to dissolve. Not with drama, not with self-hatred, but with awareness. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding a version that no longer serves you. And that shedding feels like loss before it feels like freedom. Now we arrive at the turning point. You have seen the pattern. You have seen the contract. You have seen how you confuse control and allow emotion to govern. But awareness alone does not free you. It only exposes the cage. Freedom begins when you accept something most people resist. You are not in control of outcomes. You are not in control of how people respond to you. You are not in control of timing. You are not in control of whether an effort succeeds or fails. You never were. And the more you demanded certainty from those things, the more anxious you became. The more anxious you became, the more you delayed action. The more you delayed, the more you called it self-sabotage. Acceptance is not surrender, it is alignment. When you accept that rejection is possible, you no longer need to avoid vulnerability. When you accept that failure is survivable, you no longer need to hesitate before trying. When you accept that the future is uncertain, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin to act within your territory. Now the question changes. It is no longer, will this work? It becomes, did I act with clarity? Did I act with integrity? Did I act with courage? This shift restores authority to where it belongs. Not in your fear, not in your projections, but in your reason. And here is how the pattern breaks in real life. Before you delay, ask yourself, am I avoiding effort or am I fearing the outcome? If it is the outcome, it was never yours to control. When anxiety rises, name it. Do not negotiate with it. Do not build arguments around it. See it as weather passing through a stable sky. Act once before thinking twice. Movement clarifies what rumination distorts. Separate what belongs to you from what does not, every single time. Effort is yours. Character is yours. Response is yours. Everything else is borrowed from fate. Remember the email you did not send, the opportunity you postponed, the relationship you withdrew from. The problem was never the action itself. It was your demand for certainty. You were not incapable. You were guarding yourself from uncertainty. And once you stop demanding control over what was never yours, something unexpected happens. You move, calmly, deliberately, without drama. Not because fear disappeared, but because it no longer governs you. That is the end of self-sabotage. Not perfection, not guaranteed success, authority over your own mind. Go back to the beginning. The message you did not send was never about the words. It was about the fear of how they would be received. The project you delayed was never about preparation. It was about the discomfort of being judged. The relationship you pulled away from was never about losing interest. It was about the risk of being seen. Every moment of hesitation had the same root. You were trying to secure the future before allowing yourself to act in the present. But life does not reward certainty. It rewards alignment. When you act with clarity over comfort, you stop negotiating with imagined disasters. When you choose effort over outcome, you detach from what was never yours. When you allow fate to unfold without resistance, anxiety loses its leverage. Nothing external needs to change for this shift to occur. The same world remains unpredictable. The same risks exist. The same uncertainty surrounds you. What changes is your position within it. You stop asking, what if this goes wrong? You start asking, is this within my control? If it is, you act. If it is not, you release it. That is strength. Not loud motivation, not forced positivity. Steady reason in the presence of emotion. You were never broken. You were never doomed to repeat the pattern. You were simply confusing protection with progress. Now you see it, and once seen clearly, it becomes a choice.